continue our mid-year comprehensive walkthroughs and reviews with level 8 from Build Your Library. This is History of Science, and I'm going to answer your frequently asked questions as well, such as, can this be used for a 9th grader? That and more. Stick around.
Foggy mornings are where I begin. Conversations I can never win, but it's not a competition. Though if it was,
Welcome back, friends. If you're brand new to my channel, my name is Arlene with Arlene & Company. As I said before, we're going to go over Build Your Library's Level 8 to the History of Science. This was not sent to me for review. This was purchased by me, but you guys know whether it's purchased or sent to me for review, my opinions does not change. I always give you my authentic and honest review. That's just how it is, right? But this was purchased by me. If you're interested in other levels, I have reviewed them before. I've also reviewed novel studies, her lip bites, and all that jazz. Yes, we are a fan. I will link some of those things down below. I also have videos that I did when it was IGTV over on Instagram, and I'll share that with you as well. I did review level 7 if you're interested in that. One of our absolute favorite levels was level 7. So level 8, History of Science, is recommended for either grade 8 or ages 12 to 15. It is literature based, and there's obviously flexibility of extending this or doing this family style, and we'll talk about all that. I did get with Emily Cook, the creator of Build Your Library, some time ago, and I asked her because I know I had seen it before, but I could not find where I'd seen it written, that she wrote certain recommendations for how it translates for high school credits. Now, in her high school levels from level 9 to 12, it's right on the curricula. It says how many credits she would appoint for each area and how that would translate, especially if you're new to doing transcripts and stuff like that. You have no idea what credit means what. She gives that to you from grades 9 to 12. Now, level 8 is one of those levels that is rigorous enough for a 9th grader, even though there's well balanced for an 8th grader, but there is a lot of possibilities within this to use this for a high schooler. And I will talk to you about what my personal recommendation would be of areas that I would add to satisfy that credit, but that is basically just my opinion. You guys do you. But we're gonna go over that as well. So level 8 doesn't specifically state inside the curricula what those credits are worth, but I did get from Emily because I wanted to get her take of what it would translate, and then I will tell you my take as well. All right, so one of the main spines that you're going to be using with Build Your Library's Level 8 is going to be The Story of Science from Joy Hickam. And you guys know, for the longest time, I thought her name was pronounced Joy Hakeem for years, until I saw an interview with her, and I'm like, oh, Joy Hickam. Wow. Okay. So I've been doing it wrong this whole entire time. So this is the same author that does A Story of Us, and that's the ones that comes in volumes. I believe there's like 11 or 12. Well, I think the last volume is like the resource one. Anyways, this is the same author that authors that history spine, and The Story of Science I think is fantastic. My daughter has thoroughly really enjoyed this series, and we're still exploring it. So this is The Story of Science. Aristotle leads the way, then the Newton and the center, and then Einstein as New Dimensions. So this is one of the main spines. There's quite a bit of other books as well that we will briefly go over, but you can see the list of the book list right on one of the other spines that you have is Astronomy for All Ages, Discovering the Universe Through the Activities for Children and Adults, and we've done a few of these. Now again, we're not doing absolutely everything from level 8 because you guys know that we use Oak Meadow and Common Lit and stuff, so we blend like there's no tomorrow. But things like Build Your Library, Blossom Root, and all that stuff is super easy for us to adapt and just use sections for us, and then leave the rest. Not because it's bad or anything, it's just because we like to blend our favorite resource. I just wanted to give you a look inside of these books of how, what you explore. Now these are set up for you, what chapters she's going to read, paced throughout the year. So you don't have to worry about like how much should I have my kiddo read this week of this book or that. That is all scheduled for you. And we'll go over all that. But this has, the chapters are not super long. They have nice, beautiful images throughout that, you know, grabs your kiddos' attention. Take this further, even if you want to go outside of what Build Your Library recommends, you have quite a bit more to explore. Example, this one is thicker, and they're all like not the same length, just so you know. Like this one is the much thinner one. This one is the first one, I want to say. It's been a bit. It's been a few months. It's been a bit. All right, so this one is Newton at the Center, the story of science. So if you want to capture what the table of contents is, so you can see what you would be exploring, or some of what will be exploring. Now, what's great about this is what I did is I matched what we were learning with history of science. In order to make it a science credit, I added labs onto it and some additional tasks that I will go over with you. So I added, depending on what we were doing, I added specific tasks or matched it up to what I had shown you before. If you missed that video of Pearson Hall Science Explorer, now this is a regular school textbook, but they're divided by subjects, which is why this works really well for me. And what I did was I matched these up, the lesson, you can see the other ones, you can see that full video review of this with Build Your Library, and then further enhanced it with this. Now this is a middle school level, but if I was to give my child a high school level, then I would just add more level of complexity. But anyways, this is the teacher guide, so this has all the extra information. But if I wanted her to do additional points, additional research, additional labs, I can pull it from here or open SciEd, which I've also reviewed. You know, just valuable for you to see how we adapt it. So here is the Einstein adds new dimension. Again, these are not all the spines that you are going to have. So some of them I would recommend of the book list, because it's obviously literature based, the secular curricula. Some of them will be something that you can just borrow from the library. But these right here, this I would recommend to purchase, because, you know, unless you're gonna be able to return it by the time that you're supposed to be done with it, I would recommend certain spines to be purchased, and then you can see how long a book is going to last in the curricula and see which one to borrow. So that's, you know, a way that you can look at it of saving money and all that jazz, is to see how long a book is covered for and see if you will be able to keep a hold on that from the library. So these are the ones that I had chosen to purchase. Let's get into the actual curricula now. You have here on the table of contents, what you're going to find is books, list information, daily and weekly schedule, history, literature, science activity pages, timeline figures, and the appendix, which has blank schedule pages and vocabulary activities. We'll see that towards the end. A note on science. While she has added quite a bit of science reading, assignments, and experiments for children who are more STEM oriented, this might not be enough. So again, my daughter is more STEM oriented, so she says you may want to add additional science curricula to complete aside from that. So even straight from her mouth, she's saying if your kiddo is STEM oriented, that is what is in their future, you want to go ahead and most likely add to this for a full science credit. So yes, this covers the history. Yes, it's easily translate into a science credit, but if you have a kiddo that's STEM oriented, you want to add, like as we did with the labs and things like that, or, you know, however it feels right to you. Now here on the book list is going to be divided into the different sections that is going to teach. For this particular level, you're going to have that science component being the first off the gate. So you have the science. It's going to tell you how many weeks you're going to be in for each one. That's where I said that you can determine which books you need to purchase and which books you can borrow. And depending how long your holds are, I remember when we were in the other coast, I could keep a book for a lot longer than I can in my current county. So here you have the history titles, and then you have poetry, which is included. Then you have your literature. And again, these are listed on the site, so you can take a closer look. You have readers. So in additional to the literature, which you may still want to do as a read aloud, or, you know, just a combined effort, And then they have the readers that will like tie into the theme of the year, or just within that level as well. Then you have art, and then this level has living math, and this is supplemental. This is not a full math curricula. This is just supplemental, adding in the Charlotte Mason inspired literature vibe to it. All right, I'm skipping over the next page. The next page has optional books, additional movie links, and all that jazz, and that continues on to here. Again, obviously things are proprietary, and I can't share everything that's on here, especially because this is a PDF curricula. Here you're going to have the table of topics and books cover, and I'll show you an example with the first page. You're going to have this breakdown in several different ways, which I really like how she shows it in multiple formats for multiple types of learners because I for one like to see an overview as I plan, but some people just want to see like the nitty gritty, but it's all in here. So as you plan ahead of time, you can see at a glance, the week on this column, the science component, the history, the math, the literature, and the reading. As you plan, let's say you'll plan a week ahead, but maybe you're somebody that likes to plan a whole month ahead, or I don't know you guys, but I will plan a week ahead because things change too much. You can see at a glance what books you're gonna have to have, what chapters, what pages, and everything you have to do for each section. So this one is important to me because remember that I am matching this up with labs and additional science content. And as I do this as main lesson blocks, because we are Waldorf inspired, and that's a whole other arena, I translate this into a main lesson block. So I need to see how I can compress this into 3 to 6 week portions, which is what we do, is that we switch over from science to history as main lesson block and come back and forth, and it does get completed within the year, which means I am not following this schedule here. But for you that just following it this way, you're not Waldorf or whatever, you're not doing main lesson blocks, then you would just ignore everything I say, but I'm just going to tell you how I do it. So here I can see, okay, we're going to be going over this concept, match that up with whatever science component I want to do. There are 3 levels of cards, 6 to 8 set, the 8 to 10 set, and the 10 and up set. This is what this is, okay? And these are color coded so they don't get mixed up, so you can go ahead and print them, and then cut them out and put it in a basket, and have your kiddo like pick randomly and stuff like that. We don't do it that way. If we incorporate the narration portion of this, they just like go ahead and pick one. That's just, as long as they're balancing it, I'm cool with that. So I don't print, cut, and stuff like that. I'm kind of averse to doing that. But you can go ahead and make, this a very fun way to like kind of mix it up a bit. So these are a higher level. Have the elements of dictation. Again, this is Charlotte Mason inspired. I am not a Charlotte Mason homeschooler. However, I can adapt these things to our vibe, and it'd be perfectly fine. So you have this dictation, and you have the dictation component, and it breaks down how you as a teacher can do this. So like day 1, read through the passage with your child, talk about the interesting punctuation, difficult words and spell, so you can go over these things together. Day 2, carefully copy the passage. Day 3, go over difficult words, and so on until they get to the part where you are actually dictating the passage and they're not looking at the passage anymore and writing it out. That is a way that you're incorporating grammar and certain other elements of language arts within the Charlotte Mason umbrella. You have some memory work that is also included in that. This is something that I always skipped. We don't do memory work. That we just don't. Writing, this is going to have, I like how she includes an example of an outline and an example of a paper here, because they're going to have several opportunities to do some written work in this level. So each week your child will be assigned a short report based on a topic covered during the week and what caught their interest. And then obviously in this stage, she's, you're pushing for more of a formal type of writing, more concise, more complete sentences, complete thought, main idea, and so on, and a good body. So here she gives an example of what an outline would look like within the same topic, and then she also provides a report can look like something like this. So giving you an example of what you're looking for. Maybe your kiddo is not anywhere near this level, or maybe frame of reference to look at and see what you can be expecting, and then adjust from there in that. So you have timelines, you have sketches, you have all those little tidbits on map work, vocabulary, some research skills that you are going to be able to explore in this level. Again, this level is pretty meaty, and now you can see how this can also be translated into a 9th grade curricula. So a history of science, maybe your kiddo does not want to do prehistory, which is level 9, and they really want to dive into this one and they haven't completed all the levels before it. It is very possible, as you can see, the range will cover that. And let's see, so now for credits, you can I spoke to Emily about, so world history, can translate that like history through science, which you wouldn't list all that on the transcript. If you are wondering about that, take a look at my video, big picture high school planning, and I go over those concepts as well. But you would just write like world history. But world history, history through science, or maybe you just want to indicate it that way, that would be 1 credit. English and literature will be 1 credit. General science, or you can call it physical science, whatever feels right to you, that could be 1 credit. Now, let me have a special note on the science. In order to make this a science credit school, you are going to need to add some labs and some, more to it. You can let this be a framework like we have, and then add components to it to give that credit, especially the lab component. And it's very easy to go ahead and add some science activities and labs and things like that, and hands-on components to this additionally from what is on here, to give that full science high school credit if you're using this for a high schooler. That's my recommendation. If that's not your vibe, you are not at the same opinion, that's perfectly fine. I'm just talking to people that are like us. You would just need to add a little bit to it to give that full, for my opinion, to give that 1 credit in science. You could also do an elective of living math as a half a credit, and then an art history survey as an elective as a half a credit. And that would all be worth a total of 4 credits if you did that. Now, if you were trying to give early credits for high school with your local, state, country, whatever laws, because if you give too much credit in 8th grade, they will be considered that they're already in high school in some places, and then it will look as they took 5 years to complete high school, which may or may not matter to the college of their choice if that's their route. Again, take a look at my big picture high school planning video if you want to go ahead and dive into that area more. All right, so here you will see the framework. Actually, I wanted to show you a different week. Let's go here. All right, so because then you're getting more into it. I think this is like a little bit better example. So here is a week. You had the whole entire year view before. Now you have it broken down into week, then into days. So here you're gonna have this chart. It's gonna be split into 5 days. Now, if you're a homeschooler that does only 4 days, it's very easy to compress and move things over to fill in the gaps of what is in the 5th day if you don't do 5 days a week. All right, so now this is if you're doing the full curricula. Right? So you have day 1, you're going to read this chapter from the story of science. You're going to read this book as well with its pages. And then you're going to start your literature and you're going to read this chapter. You're going to start your reader and this as well. Then this is like, you're going to do the narration card. Like this is the flow of the language arts too. Narration card, dictation, narration card, dictation, narration card, dictation. So that you're having several opportunities to write as well. And then here is that living math component. And also you see the poetry component as there. So that is broken up for the week ahead of time. Let's look at a day. All right, so this is 1 day. Now, obviously, your Monday or whatever is your first day of the week is gonna be, I always tend to see it that is a little bit more meaty because you're just starting into more details for each day. So there is like a lot of hand holding in this curricula as well. It tells you exactly what to do, what day, all that jazz. You guys know I'm a rebel. I don't do what you tell me to do. And there's not only just reading, there is connections with videos, there's connections with movies if you like, there is hands-on activities, there is all these other things that is woven into this. So science reading, then you're gonna go over the key ideas and topics, is going to highlight that. Then you're gonna have like some vocab terms and notes on that and how to explore that. So here you have the history and science activities. So for example, on this week, you're gonna do map work. Then it's gonna tell you what page to look at that. You can look her and label Mount Olympus, and Athens and all that jazz. Complete a scientific biography for Thales. Use what you've learned for reading and research to find more information as necessary. Then you have the timeline work. Then you have choose the experiments from potentially catastrophic science. Now that is a book that I don't have with me right now, but you can choose experiments from there. We choose it from different places, and that was just because it out from the library, and then I just went another route. Nothing wrong with it whatsoever. I just had other things that I could add, like Open Science. I had the my Science Explorers. I have all kinds of stuff, and being someone that is a science major, I kind of just had another avenue, and we also got some science kits throughout the year as well. But this you can pull some experiments from and go aside from there. So there is those elements that are pulled in, so hands-on with the science. However, I would recommend a little bit beyond that. If you're looking for this as a high school credit for 8th grade, you're cool. But if you have a kid that's STEM based, you're probably going to need to add to it. Then you have the literature. Then it has the notes and vocabulary, so you can dive into this vocabulary concepts or additional like comprehension type of questions or discussion type of questions. You can either choose to do this written or orally. Then the dictation passage, as you can see, these dictation passages is not going to be like one sentence. This is for our level 8 child, so it's going to be a little bit more complex. Then you have the reader, memory work, and living math. So this may be just the right dosage for you, or it may be too much, so you could adjust as use this as your sole curricula. Then it actually does not take as long as it may seem. We have done that before, just solely done this for a couple weeks or so, just to mix things up, and to just give a point of reference, it is a manageable amount of workload, especially if this is your sole curriculum. Now if this is not your sole curricula, you want to edit out, right? Because then your kid is going to get a little bit overwhelmed, or they may. So if you are blending, you're going to want to edit out. So this continues on for each of the days of the week, and then you go into your next week. Okay, again, so if you're using this for a level 8 child, it is perfectly fine as is. If you have a STEM kiddo and you want this to be their sole science, then you want to go ahead and add some other elements to it, such as more labs and more scientific research type of thing. But there is a lot of opportunities in that already in the curricula. But if you have a child that is just STEM hungry, you're probably going to want to add a little bit more. Yes, it's possible to also do this as a science credit with a little bit of work for you if you have a STEM kid, or if you're doing this with a 9th grader. Especially if you're doing this with a 9th grader, you want to go ahead and add to it. My personal opinion, don't come for me. All right, but it's definitely easily a world history credit without having to do absolutely nothing with it. So it's 1 credit world history, you're cool just as is. Again, my opinion. English and literature, 1 credit. The titles that are in this level are pretty robust, and some of these things you find in a 9th grade curricula, some of these titles already. So Fahrenheit 451, that is something I've seen in several high school levels. To Kill a Mockingbird, there's several titles that just naturally lends itself to a high school level book, and it's just a very robust year, and the literature is right on point, is rich and right on point for a high schooler. So definitely agree with the English and literature being 1 credit. Again, if you want to do this or general science or physical science, depending what you want to call it or what areas you focus more, that could be 1 credit with a little work from you. Living math, half a credit as an elective, or art history survey as elective half a credit, and that is her recommendation. And the only thing that varies with what I would say is adding a little bit more to the science to give it a high school science credit. All right, and especially just so you know, there is most colleges, not all, but most colleges want to see those high school level sciences, with a couple of them having substantial lab. All right, so keep that in mind as you're doing high school level sciences. But this is definitely a great option either for your 8th grader or whatever stage they're in, or a high schooler. We absolutely adore this. We're not completely through with it because the year is not over. Absolutely love this. It's hard to decide if we between level 7 and 8, which one is our favorite, but this is definitely like is up there. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. If you have any questions, leave them down below. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell for any new content, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Leave me like this, but